Right. I'd say we're done on Norian for the moment, sure. There's an unexplored room or two, but there's nothing we can do about that right now. So it's time to go to Brio, see if there's anything we can reach that we couldn't get to before, and see if we can find the next major upgrade. Hopefully, we'll continue to have a lack of communications from the two Aurora units as we keep doing this. Sure, I want to finish this game in a reasonable amount of time, but I'm not really in a hurry to do it, if that sounds like it makes sense. It didn't really feel like it made sense to me, and I'm the one who said it. So maybe it wasn't the right word choice or something. Only just noticed the item pickups counter as we choose what planet to go to. Did we have an in-game item pickups counter in the earlier games I've LP'd in this franchise? I don't really remember anything like that being the case, though I wouldn't be surprised to learn that was a thing in Dread at the very least, if not the entire series, and I just somehow didn't let it imprint in my mind. I can't really say if it's a good or bad thing, since I'm not a completionist. I just grab whatever I can see, assuming I don't get too frustrated trying to reach it. I will never stop being a bit baffled that this game decided to turn the usual loaded game melody into a your ship is landed melody thing. Were they trying to make the ship landing feel more fulfilling somehow, when it's kind of an annoying way to do fast travel and is outright forced on us, since it's not like Brio is connected to Norian or Elysia. Hell, there are sections of Brio that aren't even connected to the other sections of Brio. It just does not feel like a very Metroid Prime style world design, and again, this is the third entry in the trilogy. If they felt the other two games were worth adding a third to the series, why did they make the third feel so drastically different? I know part of the annoyance is the fact that I did the GameCube versions of the previous two games before I started doing commentary on this Wii game, instead of doing the Wii versions of those previous two games, but for the hell of it, I've been playing through the first Metroid Prime on the Wii remake, and the motion controls feel less obnoxious to me there. If anything, playing through the first Metroid Prime with the Wii's inspired control scheme makes it easier for me to realize why people loved that improvement on things. It's kind of funny that I'm finding Metroid Prime 1 better on the emulated Wii, but Metroid Prime 3, which was designed primarily for the Wii on every level, just feels like an objectively worse game than the first Metroid Prime in so many measurable ways. On one hand, that really shows how well they pulled things off with that first game. It stands up very well, no matter the control scheme or console. They planned things out very well and made an absolute classic. On the other hand, it makes things feel all the more annoying that the second and third Metroid Primes each made different mistakes and couldn't match or surpass the formula that the first Metroid Prime pulled off. There was room for improvement in the first Metroid Prime. It's not like they got absolutely everything possible right, but the things they chose to try in each of the sequels turned each game into something a little annoying in different ways. I can respect that they made different mistakes each time, but Metroid Prime 3 is definitely an improvement over 2. Anyway, I suppose I should talk about the lore we just read, but I can't find it in me to give a damn. For one thing, it didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. The lizard people fucked over their own planet in their civil war, and kept fighting until the planet got beyond a point of no return. For one thing, that would feel more impactful if we spent more than maybe a quarter at best of the game in Rio. For another, no matter what we do on this planet, there is no way we're going to turn it back into a genuinely hospitable world instead of a death world with just a small strip of non-death zone stuff. Seriously, I cared a lot more for Talon 4 in the first game, and a decent amount more for Ether in the second. none of the worlds we go to in the third game mean anything to me, outside of maybe me liking the music on Brio, or enjoying the boss fight with Rundus on Brio. Notice how I didn't really mention Alicia there. Okay, there's an upgrade there, but at the moment we have no idea how to get to it. Technically speaking, it has to do with moving that cage, but it's not like there's some mechanism nearby for us to activate in order to move it. At least not one I can immediately see. So, I suppose we're supposed to drop something on top of the golem thing there, and the golem would smash the cage for us. I'm sorry, but why can't we just drop bombs from our ship to destroy the cage and the rocks that are blocking that particular path there? We apparently need a different upgrade for the ship to get things done, and this just feels way too arbitrary for me. Why am I so much more forgiving of us having arbitrary things to grab when it's something Samus herself has in her suit, and not forgiving when it has to do with upgrading her ship? Again, cannot find it in me to care that you tried and failed to fix this broken world long before we even arrived. Especially since we're not gonna do anything to save the world ourselves while we're here. Anyway, that should be all we can do in this part of Rio. Time to head back in the direction of our ship and see if there's anything else we can explore in this sector, or if we need to go to another part of Rio. Well, at least I bothered to dodge the last of those electric range attacks. Not that a lone lizard had a chance to kill us, considering the sheer amount of health we've got. While the phase-on hoppers from the previous clip were technically more durable than the regular ones here, it doesn't really feel like all that much. Kind of surprised I didn't bother to check the map to see if there's anywhere unexplored in this sector. Sure, the areas we go through in this game are pretty basic and not really confusing enough to need maps, but still, every other Metroid I've looked at the map extremely frequently. It's just a bit odd when I think about it, and that sort of odd is another of the various reasons I keep feeling this game doesn't feel like it belongs in the Metroid franchise with the way it's been built. Well, I was hoping to find an energy tank at some point, even with as much health as we've got. Grabbing those just feels more meaningful than a lot of the other repeating upgrades. Sure, missiles are kind of appreciated to some degree, but they just don't feel as important in the 3D games as they did in the 2D ones. The ship missile expansions feel completely pointless, given the very limited number of moments we can actually do a bombing run in this game. But health is always needed, so it is always appreciated. Okay, I think there's a spot we can use the boost to go up. The question is, how do we get to the spot where we can start boosting from? right. A lot of things we just can't interact with at the moment in here. Close, but close doesn't mean anything around here, so I'm gonna have to assume there's some other way over there. Ah, so apparently there's a heat door we could use to get to the other side of that gate thing that's supposed to drop. And unlike a lot of the other paths in this game, the way there is not all that obvious. I kind of appreciate that, but I'm getting the sense that we've done all we can in this area for the moment. Guess we should just get back to the ship and head to another part of Brio or something. Again, I'm in no hurry to get back to the main story, though. Granted, the story in all the Metroids isn't really anything especially amazing, at least in terms of the clip-by-clip narrative. Overall, the story was fun in each game before this one. But the steps from beginning to end weren't really all that important. It just was meant to be some fun/horror that we had on the journey. Unfortunately, the Metroid writers felt the need to try to make this game more narrative-focused than any of the others. And they clearly were not all that good at narratives, even when they were trying to stay true to the series. Dear God, I could not have been in any way surprised with Other M being so bad if I had just stopped and thought about it a bit more. And if I'm complaining so much about Other M, why do I still have it on my computer? And why do I periodically keep trying to figure out how to emulate the interesting control scheme to play through it again? It was a leading factor in why I got rid of my old Wii, let my parents have it, because I had lost faith in Nintendo in general for a good long time. Seriously, I was never really a Mario guy, though I've recorded a few of those games for future Let's Plays. My main three things from Nintendo are Star Fox, Pokemon, and Metroid. Star Fox they just don't seem to give a damn about. Well, okay, they care more about Star Fox and F-Zero, and I'm sure there are other first-party Nintendo franchises that they haven't touched, or just done re-releases of for a long time. But Star Fox really hasn't felt like it's gotten a genuine effort since the N64. Pokemon started off great. It's been merchandised to such a point that the games aren't even a quarter of its income. And good God, the company has blatantly been coasting along for quite a while on that money fountain and not really working that hard on the games. I've always enjoyed it even despite that, but I stopped buying the new games during around the third generation, and I've only Let's Played the first generation so far. I'm still trying to plan out how and when to do the second. I'm certainly not going to pull things the exact same way I did for the first generation and have so many periodic links to Pokemon Stadium. When I tried to pull that off, it ended up feeling unintentionally depressing. So it's definitely an idea I'm going to have to scrap and rethink before I get around to LPing that. And Metroid, well, once we're done with this game, then we'll have completed all the Metroids I enjoyed that have been released so far. And part of me is so hungry for more Metroid content that I'm even willing to play through Metroid Other M just to give myself more to do, while waiting for Metroid Prime 4 to finally release. Not that I'm all that likely to actually play Prime 4 on an official Nintendo system. The controller drift on the Switch just got too damn annoying for me to care about. I got rid of the system and looked into getting a Switch emulator because I had replaced those thumbsticks at least twice. The emulator can do some games at this point, but it's kind of slowly improving, and I recorded a few games that couldn't quite be emulated on it yet before I sold off the Switch. So even if Prime 4 releases, it'll probably take me a while to finally be able to record and comment on it. It's kind of funny, really. So this game is going to be the last Metroid game I'm going to go through in a long time on this channel, especially since I'm not all inclined to do the Metroid Prime 1 remake on the Switch. Sure, the control scheme for that one is fun, and I like how it looks, but there's just not enough that feels different for me to feel like I want to go through it again. It's not anywhere near the kind of difference you would get from Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation and the remake of that game, which is my gold standard for remakes. Son of a bitch. Here I was hoping that the Aurora units wouldn't bother us for this clip as well. I'm probably already extremely close to it, so I have no clue why you bothered mentioning it to us. Oh, my mistake. So the thing the Aurora unit wants to point out to us is in a different sector of Rio. I suppose that's better than us being just a room or two away and about to discover it on our own. It still doesn't change the fact that the Aurora units in this game feel more annoying than they should be to me. And considering what I've heard about the Legend of Zelda franchise, oh god, that mindset probably isn't going to make things easier for me there. Especially when I meet the rather infamous Navi in Ocarina of Time. Bloody hell, I should probably stop talking about other games while working on this one. Especially since things are still interesting enough that I'm not tempted to fast forward through the raw footage to get the game over with. Okay, let's see how long it takes me to get the timing right here. Ah, damn, that was annoyingly close. I'm grazing the edge there. I'm doing something right, but just not right enough yet. There we go. Probably more troublesome than that missile upgrade was really worth, but again, the puzzles in this game feel simpler than the ones in the other Metroids. Certainly a hell of a lot less frustrating to the point of me giving up on them like the boost to puzzles in the 2D games. I've probably said this numerous times before in the other Metroid Primes, but it's worth saying again. I love how the 3D part of the franchise changed how the speed boost works to the point that it's unrecognizable. Some change in this franchise is good. It's just that I don't feel the changes they did for this game were all that well thought out, and the changes they make for Metroid Other M are just horrifically bad decisions. To the point that no matter how good the gameplay was, it absolutely torpedoed the franchise for a while. Okay, I was wrong about the heat door being behind the gate. Not a big issue, but still kind of embarrassing. Please open up. It's more than a little annoying when doors decide to take longer to open when we've already gotten used to the speed they should respond to us. Another tunnel then. Okay. Probably a good idea to clear those hoppers out before we scan that thing on the wall. Not that I'm all that eager for that bit of lore, I'm just doing it because scanning's become a bit of an instinct for me in the Prime games. You claimed earlier that the war was over when the Science Lords beat the Primals. Now you're saying the Primals sent attacks when they found out where you were? Make up your bloody mind with that blood frickin' backstory there. Hell, the story in this game as a whole is kinda bad. And the fact that this game somehow makes me feel uninterested in the lore we come across isn't all that helpful to my opinion of the writing in general. I suppose it wouldn't be a Metroid game if I didn't have some more moments of dropping into hazards for no good reason. Certainly a very distinctive looking room, but that doesn't mean there's anything all that important in here. Or at least nothing important we can interact with right this moment. I think the massive object in the middle of the room is a giant golem head, which would go on the massive golem that we're supposed to activate in order to break some rocks and open that cage for an upgrade. And we won't be able to do that just yet, because I don't think our ship is capable of carrying something this massive just yet. I suppose it's something to possibly forget later on. At the very least, it's more of a puzzle than many of the other upgrades and paths we've reached so far. Huh. Well, there's enough crates sitting here at the moment, so it's not too much of an issue. Down in this corner wasn't just a tease for something that'll happen later on. It had a more immediate reward, even if the reward was another forgettable missile upgrade. Yeah. Very much ridiculous to imagine us using the grapple beam to pull around something larger than our ship just with our suit. I'm just scanning for the sake of scanning as usual. Not that I absolutely need fresh information. Anyway, once again, onwards back to the ship. Once we're there, it's as good a time as any to save, then we can fly to the spot the Aurora pointed us to, since we've probably spent enough clips being directionless for the moment. Still, being directionless and trying to figure things out for ourselves in this game was a nice change of pace to being told exactly where we need to go every single time. It's kind of funny when I think about it that at the tail end of the previous two Metroid Primes, I was begging for the hint system to tell us where the keys we needed were, and we never got any notifications for that particular annoyance. But here in the third game, I wish the hint system wasn't quite so intrusive. I suppose it's one of those moments of be careful what you ask for. Okay, so the upgrade is on the other side of the ramps. Ah, well, at least I was able to jump to the other side instead of having to do the whole speed boost thing and trying to pull it off for a specific side. So I suppose that's something. Okay, pretty sure we've grabbed everything that can be grabbed in this area. Though my eyes are gonna keep looking at that morph ball slot and want to get us in there again just to set off a bomb. I know it wouldn't do anything. The golem has already done its thing, because that's what we use to activate it. It wouldn't stop me from trying if we stayed here long enough, though. Can't see the bug yet, so it's not my problem yet. Wow. Apparently we don't even need missiles to destroy the bug hives anymore. Seriously, why do we even need missile expansions when we can do so much with just our beam? Anyway, that should do it for this clip. It certainly felt eventful enough for me.